With PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore Jay Tarriela, who joins us today on Morning Matters. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Commodore.
Good morning, Gretchen. At isang magandang umaga din sa mga viewers mo.
Hey, Commodore, it's been 9 years since the landmark arbitral ruling. Just to give context to the whole situation out on our seas, how would you describe the current situation in the West Philippine Sea from the Philippine Coast Guard's perspective?
I think the behavior of the Chinese Coast Guard remains to be the same in a way that they are insisting that they have jurisdiction and sovereignty over the entire South China Sea. But then again, we should not see it based on the behavior of the People's Republic of China. We should see it on how the international community and, of course, our Filipino people value the arbitral award. As you can see, Gretchen, no? more Filipinos now are supportive for our fight in the West Philippine Sea. And there's also an increasing number of countries who are also supportive of the 2016 arbitral award. And I think that's the most positive impact of the transparency efforts that we have been doing to ensure that our fight in the West Philippine Sea is in accordance with the law, and that the 2016 arbitral award is a clear evidence of the intent of the Philippine government that what we are doing is that this is in accordance with UNCLOS, and we do not intend to escalate the tension. But it's always the People's Republic of China who choose to violate the UNCLOS and not recognize the 2016 arbitral award.
Well, Commodore, along with the increasing calls from the Philippines and international powers surrounding this issue, China has also responded, albeit a little bit more aggressively. Do you think they have also escalated the way they have treated the situation in the West Philippine Sea, given what has happened in the Sandy Cay, in Bajo de Masinloc, and also seeing them patrolling off the waters very, very near our coastlines?
Well, as what I said, Gretchen, the Chinese government will just keep on insisting about what they believe is correct, and that they are going to keep on pursuing that they have legitimacy over the entire South China Sea. So we can really expect, no, that the Chinese Coast Guard, together with the Chinese Maritime Militia, will continuously carry out unlawful activities in these waters in the West Philippines.
Just to compare the situation, because I believe before the Transparency Initiative, we didn't really have any or much oversight over the realities out on our seas. Baga hindi po natin nakikita. Pag kinumpara po ninyo, no, I mean, ngayon po ba ay talagang mas aggressive na ngayon lang yung water cannoning nangyayari as compared to before you started publicizing what was happening out there?
Well, Gretch, I have to remind you, that even during the time of Secretary Lorenzana, November of 2021, it was him who exposed the use of the Chinese Coast Guard water cannon against the resupply boat of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. That means the water cannoning of the Chinese Coast Guard has been happening before. The only difference under this administration is that every time that the Chinese Coast Guard used their water cannon, we expose them to the international community, and we allow the Filipino people to know about it. So that means the level of aggression and the lawful activities of the People's Republic of China has been ongoing since we started the transparency, even before we started transparency efforts.
Yesterday, there were reports that there was a presence of 2 PLA Navy warships and a Chinese Coast Guard vessel off the waters of Mindoro. Tell us more about that.
Yes, this PLA Navy warship that we monitored actually started from Pangasinan, and then the BRP Teresa Magmanwa 9701 was directed by the Commandant Admiral Ronnie Hilgavan to intercept, to challenge their presence, and to inquire also their intention. So from Bulina, we escorted them, we shadowed them until we reached Occidental Mindoro. And then that's the time that the Chinese Coast Guard, Chinese PLA Navy vessel already went farther away from our exclusive economic zone. So it is also worth noting that despite of our range of challenges, the PLA Navy warship never responded. And when we were in Occidental Mindoro, we also noticed that one of the PLA Navy warship is actually conducting helicopter landing exercise. No? And we once again called them out that this is our exclusive economic zone and that they are not authorized to conduct any military operation within our exclusive economic zone. But they never responded. It was only the Chinese Coast Guard who acted as an escort of these PLA Navy warships that they were claiming that they have sovereignty and jurisdiction over the waters in Occidental Mindoro.
Palagi ho ba nangyayari yung gano'n, yung helicopter landing exercise? And palagi rin po ba sila dumadaan dito sa Mindoro o unique po itong event na ito?
On the part of Philippine Coast Guard, these are first time to see a PLA Navy warship conducting helicopter landing exercise that we were able to document. This is, kumbaga, unang pagkakataon namin na makakita ng ganito. And that despite of our continuous and persistent challenges, they still carried out such exercise the entire day na monitor namin sila.
Kasi napakalapit po, no? Pag sinabing Mindoro, medyo, I mean, it's up north, no? Saan kaya maaring manggaling itong PLA Navy warship? Were you able to monitor?
Yes, the PLA Navy warship, based on the dark vessel detection that we have been using, it came all the way north, no? Ibig sabihin, there's a possibility that it came from mainland People's Republic of China and then binaybay itong western seaboard natin and lumayo lang farther out from our exclusive economic zone sa may bandang area na ng Mindoro.
Well, this comes, of course, on the heels of the 9th anniversary of the arbitral award. You think China was making a statement here by sending its PLA Navy ships that near?
Well, I cannot speak for the People's Republic of China, but that is something that we just get used to. No, I mean they have been deploying their Coast Guard, their warship, their Chinese maritime militia. It's just like an ordinary thing for them. Whether they are commemorating the 9th arbitral award, as I don't know whether they're happy with what we are remembering on that day. It doesn't really matter. You know? It's like very common naman sa kanila for them to disrespect our exclusive economic zone.
Pero pagka PLA Navy warship na po ang pinag-uusapan, medyo ibang, I mean like, if it's a Philippine Coast Guard, iba po yun, di ba? Pagka Navy warship, parang medyo alarming na ho yun, ano? I mean, describe to us the movement of those warships. Was it expeditious at the very least?
Well, you cannot say it's expeditious. As I said, Gretch, no? It conducted a helicopter landing exercise. That means at some point it has to
Tumigil
stop.
siya. Oo.
So obviously it's not expeditious while she awaits for the helicopter to land. So I don't think that their intention is just to invoke the freedom of navigation, no? In our exclusive economic zone. And secondly, what complicates their presence is that the Chinese Coast Guard, no, are claiming that they have jurisdiction and sovereignty over the waters in Occidental Mindoro.
Has the sovereignty, I mean, wow, it's the same call. I mean, across the EEZ, it's very, very near our waters. Has the Philippine Coast Guard detected more ships, Chinese ships passing through our sea lanes and maritime zones? Because I remember last year, or was it months ago, they were going through the internal waters of the Philippines. Has that continued on?
Well, for this year, what is very significant is that there is an increased number of Chinese research vessels. We were able to monitor a substantial increase of Chinese research vessels, not just in the West Philippine Sea, but even up north, no, in Batanes. So I think that's the only considerable number that you would say very significantly increased.
And where have they been passing, these Chinese research vessels?
Well, the Chinese research vessels that we monitored up north, it's actually within our own exclusive economic zone. So they are sometimes up north, just a few nautical miles outside the border of the Philippines and Taiwan. And then we also saw Chinese research vessel, of course, in different maritime features in Calayan Island too.
Okay. Of course, the China has responded to the ninth anniversary, and they call it a piece of waste paper, saying that the arbitration violated the principle of state consent, and that the arbitral tribunal exercised its jurisdiction ultra vires and rendered an award in disregard of the law. What would you say to that?
Well, Gretch, I'm not a lawyer, but one thing is clear, no? Those issues that the People's Republic of China are now raising, they have already raised that during the tribunal deliberation of the case. So it was already decided that even if they did not participate during the hearing of the tribunal, it doesn't really matter. Secondly, I don't think that our decision for unilateral filing of the case against the People's Republic of China violates such arbitration, because it is clearly specified in UNCLOS that countries like us, as a signatory to UNCLOS, have the right to subject our dispute to arbitration, and that's what we did. And the People's Republic of China is also a signatory state to UNCLOS. So they should understand much more, right? That we never violated anything. And secondly, the most important thing is more countries are supportive of the arbitral award. So the mere fact that countries are increasing, that means that the 2016 arbitral award is valid, binding, and has significant legitimacy to be enforced.
Commodore, kayo po ay nag-file ng libel complaint versus Rogando Sasot. Si Alan Troy Sasot, the real name. Okay. Ano po bang nireklamo niyo po dun sa complaint na yun? Ano po bang sinasabi po niya tungkol sa inyo?
Alam mo, Gretch, tatlong grounds yung basihan ng aming cyber libel, no? Yung una sa lahat, yung sinabi niyang nagpunta daw ako sa bahay ni Speaker Romualdez at may dala-dala daw akong black bag na marami daw pera. Well, una sa lahat, I don't know where is the residence of Speaker Romualdez. At saka hindi talaga ako nagpunta ng bahay niya to get black bags of money. And secondly, he also claimed I am receiving $4 million na talent fee from the US Embassy, no? Hindi ko rin alam kung anong naging basehan niya diyan, kung may payroll ba siya na kopya, no? Para sabihin meron akong stipend sa US Embassy. And then third, he also claims that I'm the one running the Operation Atlantis of the US government. Siguro masyado na siyang nanood ng Justice League nang nasa China siya. Kaya naisip niya mayroong Operation Atlantis at akala niya siguro ako si Aquaman. These are the three reasons why we decided to file cyber libel against Mr. Alan Rogando Sasot. And it's a criminal and civil case as well.
Commodore, Sino po? Sino pa po? May kasama
I
po
mean,
kayo?
together with my legal team,
Okay.
with Tony Lavinia, of course.
Okay, Commodore, paano po kaya isa-serve itong libel complaint? Kasi naalala ko, may nag-file din po sa kanya recently. I think si Senator Risa po yun. Tapos parang hinamon pa niya, no, na parang dapat ma-serve sa kanya. If she is in China, is it still possible to receive that complaint here in the Philippines? Did you talk to your legal team about that?
Honestly, I really don't know, but Attorney Tony Lavinia and his legal team is very confident that we can be able to ensure that this complaint will be able to reach his attention.
Okay. I guess, nag-usap-usap po ba kayo nila Shelo Magno? What convinced you to finally do this?
Alam mo, para sa akin, Gretch, no? Parang kailangan mo na talaga silang patulan at some point. Because if you're just going to keep on allowing them to post trash and fake news and misinformation, para sa akin, it's not just an attack to my personality, but it's actually an attack on our fight for the West Philippine Sea. Ngayon, kung lagi na lang tayong mananahimik, lagi na lang natin silang iaalaw na ganyan, there's a possibility that the Filipino people will also be swayed. And they would think na baka totoo nga to, si Commodore Tarriela, binayaran ni Speaker, binayaran ng US Embassy, at binabayaran ng US government kaya sinisiraan ng China. Imagine kung sa 8 out of 10 na naniniwala, may dalawang naniniwala sa kanya. It's still very difficult for the government to get our 100 support ng lahat ng ating kababayang Pilipino. Dahil sa mga fake news na ganito. Gaya ng sinabi ko, Gretch, no? Ang laban natin sa West Philippine Sea, hindi lang ito laban ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos at hindi lang ito laban ng Coast Guard at ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Laban nating lahat ito bilang Pilipino. That is the reason why we need to keep on fighting for disinformation and fake news.
And speaking of laban ng Pilipino, mukhang mapapalaban po kayo sa takbo. Dito sa takbo para sa West Philippine Sea this upcoming July 27. Pang-apat na leg na po ito, no? What made you decide to continue it this year? And what is the goal of the run?
Well, the objective of the Takbo para sa West Philippine Sea is to make the Filipino aware, again, of our fight in the West Philippine Sea. And also to get the support of the Filipino people. May mga ordinaryong tao nagtatanong paano sila makakapagpakita ng suporta sa ating Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Coast Guard. And I think that is very simple. No? You just have to join the run and let us show the world how united we are in standing up against bullies like the People's Republic of China. And most importantly, yung proceeds nitong takbo para sa West Philippine Sea will also be used for the publication ng ating comic book that we are distributing sa public schools for them to have information about our fight in the West Philippines.
Yun yung gusto ko itanong, ito yung ang progress ng comic book kasi doon, nabasa ko nga yun, very specific yung pagpapaliwanag at talagang nilalemanize niya yung sitwasyon dito sa West Philippine Sea, ano nga ba yung continental shelf, ano yung territorial sea, EEZ, etc. etc. Has the Department of Education contacted you for an official publication of yun nga po yung learning materials because there is a House bill filed on making education about the West Philippine Sea mandatory for students. Meron na po bang mga ganong usapin sa actual publication ng mga books o textbooks o literary pieces?
Well, during the launching of the comic book project last year, we invited Secretary Angara together with the National Security Advisor, Secretary Anyo, and he was very supportive of the idea. As a matter of fact, I think through the National Security Council, they are discussing with DepEd the possibility of curriculum adjustment, particularly when it comes to the West Philippine Sea, UNCLOS, and of course the historical basis of our position. So yeah, Secretary Angara is very supportive of including WPS lessons sa ating mga kabataang Pilipino.
Pero ano po yung sa inyong pag-iikot po, ano po yung sa tingin yung needs improvement pagdating sa pag-iintindi dito sa sitwasyon sa West Philippine Sea? Pag nakakausap niyo po ang ordinaryong Pilipino.
Alam mo, Gretch, nakapunta na ako ng different major universities dito sa Pilipinas from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Ang pinaka-unang tanong na ibinabato ko sa mga college students natin ay saan ang West Philippine Sea. And you will be surprised. Siguro mga 4 out of 5 na mga estudyante cannot even explain to you where the West Philippine Sea is. And then the second question is, what is the difference between West Philippine Sea and South China Sea? Majority of the students cannot also tell the difference between the two. Etong basic lang na to ang itanong natin sa kanila, hindi pa nila masagot. And then the third question that I always ask is, bilang kabataang Pilipino, naniniwala ka bang ang West Philippine Sea ay contested? Unfortunately, and very sadly, ang sagot ng 8 out of 10 na kabataang Pilipino ay yes, contested daw ito. That's why we have to make effort, no? Double our efforts to make sure na ang may sasagot na ng kabataang Pilipino ay hindi ito contested dahil as far as the Philippines is concerned, this belongs to the Filipino.
And lastly, invite niyo po ang ating mga mga manonood to join the Takbo para sa West Philippine Sea.
Well, Gretchen, una sa lahat, ikaw ang ini-invite ko, no? Mag-join ka ng takbo. Pag nag-join ka, mas maraming mag-register, no? So let me take this opportunity to invite everybody. This is the way that we can show to our bully neighbor that we are actually united for one cause, and that is to stand firm and to make sure that we're not going to surrender a square inch of our territory to any foreign power. Ang kikitain po ng takbo na ito ay gagamitin po ng ating National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea for the publication of comic book. This is an information material that we're distributing to public schools para po maintindihan ng ating kabataang Pilipino ang ipinaglalaban natin sa West Philippine Sea.
Ilang
Maraming
kilometers po? Ilang kilometers?
3 kilometers, 5 and 10. Sa grandstand ito sa Quirino Grandstand natin ito gaganapin.
Of course, that's July 27 on a Sunday. All right, maraming salamat. How do they sign up? Last na.
Nasa nasa website siya at sa social media platform ng RunLeo.
All right, okay. Maraming salamat sa iyo at happy anniversary sa ating mga Pilipino. Okay, we have PCJ spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore Jay Tarriela.